everyone. Hello. As promised, I am live. If you saw my video from this morning, came out, 3 hours ago. I did say that I'd be doing a live on Barry Morphew's timeline, either today or tomorrow. So I decided to do it today. I decided to do it right away. This is a requested video. Somebody asked me, can't remember who, somebody asked me, could I go through Barry's timeline? It was gone through extensively. It was around the time of Barry's preliminary hearing, the first time he was jailed for Suzanne's murder. And hopefully there will be a second time. However, there's increasing doubt as to whether Barry actually did it. So I think it's a good time to start revising the old stuff, the stuff we already know, going through it again to see what we can find that potentially will become very relevant moving forward if Barry is rearrested. And I spent quite a bit of time yesterday reacquainting myself with the PCA, the arrest warrant, which is 131 pages long, 131 pages. But the majority of it is interviews with this person and that person, the other person. And you don't often see that in a PCA. Why do you need all that in an arrest warrant? So my suggestion to the prosecution, to law enforcement, if he is rearrested, is make the probable cause affidavit easier to read, make it more concise, make it more focused, make it more convincing. Now, obviously, this was convincing to a judge, but going through it, it requires you to go through it with a fine-tooth comb to find relevant bits of timeline. Yeah. Isn't he really chipmunk, Barry? Yes, he is. I just think Bobcat Barry, it's, what's it called? Alliteration? I think that's what it's called. So, yeah, somebody said, Michelle, go through the timeline. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the relevant pages in the PCA, which isn't very much when you focus it in on May the 9th into May the 10th. I believe that Barry did this. That's just my personal view. And I am going to have to there's going to have to be an awful lot of convincing otherwise. Because although this evidence in the PCA is largely circumstantial, there's, you go back to Occam's razor, if Suzanne was murdered by a serial killer, she's going to be the unluckiest woman in the world to have lived in this toxic relationship with Barry, who is not very nice. And then when Barry goes off working, she's murdered by a serial killer. I'm going to need some convincing. I'm sorry, guys, that happened when you've got a person right there who all the signs indicate that he did it. All the signs indicate, but it's largely circumstantial. And I think Barry's been very clever in covering his tracks. So he was listening to true crime podcasts for a long time before the murders. So maybe he picked up some things. But again, that's just all my opinion. That's all my opinion. You might have a different opinion, and you are very much entitled to that, because you do have to take some things with a little bit of grain of salt, honestly, because there's big gaps in this timeline, and that's a problem. That's a problem. So I think Barry did this, and I think that Suzanne was murdered on the afternoon of May the 9th, 2020. That's when I think it happened. Okay, and then I think Barry disabled his computer in his truck. I think he went to Moffat, buried her, and then went to Broomfield. That's what I think happened. and I'll explain why. So I'm going to use, there's only 2 pages in the probable cause affidavit that we actually need to read. And then also I'm going to use some notes that I took at the preliminary hearing. So way back, 2 years ago now, Barry had a 4-day preliminary hearing, and I spent day after day writing notes on my community wall. Right? I wasn't writing notes for myself. I was writing notes for YouTube, for people on YouTube, as well as myself, because something in the back of my mind thought, this is going to be relevant. This is going to be really relevant. This is going to be really, really, really relevant. And I want these notes in the public domain. Okay. So I had to go back 2 years down my community wall, because there's no easy way to find posts from 2 years ago on your community wall. You just have to keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. So I found them. And most of it is what's in the PCA, to be fair, but there's a little bit of extra detail. So we'll do the PCA first, and then we'll go through the my notes that I took. So, but before we do that, let's see who's in the house. I don't think this is going to be a brilliant time for most people. It's 4:15 in my world, or just gone 4:15. So actually, it's not too bad a time, is it? So who's in? Rona, Manchester Vicky, rainy Ribble Valley. Yeah, it's raining here as well. I'm not too far from Ribble Valley. Overcast and cool in Southern California. Wow. Hi, Holly, JD, Susan, Dana, Christina. 0723 Trinity. Nubian Max. Hey. Shazza, Hope, Pam, Angela, Sweet Peas, Purple AJ, Regina. I think I said you already, Angela, or maybe it was another Angela. North Carolina, overcast and 72 degrees. We say howdy here. Howdy. Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to forget, because this, we have to go back 2 years to the PCA, and then, to be honest, who's actually read it from start to finish? 131 pages. I didn't at the time. I flicked through looking for the important parts, and I am glad I took my own notes. I really am. MW4724, hello. ASMR Tingle Bink, Little Bear, Cecile from North Carolina, Dina, who else have we got? Monza Moore, One Eye Flo, Boo Spania, British Columbia, Canadian S. All right, hello everyone. Hello. So it seems to be raining quite a few places. Quite a few places in the world. Raining Northern California. Oh, it's raining all over. Raining again in New Jersey. Is there anywhere where it isn't raining? All right, so we'll get to this. I'm going to try and keep this quite concise, so it's easy to kind of go back and reference. So I'm going to start here on May the 9th. This is in the section called, and I will put this in the chat, and it's in the description box of today's video over on Michelle After Dark, and I'll put it, oh no, that's not the one. That's just from my computer. Hold on, I'll have to find it again. It's on the Colorado Judicial Branch Court website. But I'll put that in the chat. 131 pages. So, hold on, I've got too many things open. So it's in the section, May 5th to 10th, Barry's phone and other GPS sources. That's the section it's in. But I'm going to scroll down because I think Suzanne was murdered on the afternoon of the 9th. So we'll start on the 9th. So May the 9th, 2020, 6:46 a.m, Barry's phone was taken out of airplane mode. Your affiliate knows that airplane mode is a setting available on smartphones and other portable devices. When activated, this mode suspends the device's signal transmission technologies like Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, effectively disabling all voice, text, and phone services. GPS may or may not be disabled. I'm gonna disagree with that, actually, because I can put my phone in airplane mode and I can still surf the internet on Wi-Fi. I can. And I can also, when I'm in my house and on my Wi-Fi, I can also receive calls. And people don't believe me, but I can, because I keep my phone in airplane mode a lot. Because it spares the battery a little bit, just a little bit. And my phone's getting quite old now, and the battery isn't as good as it used to be. So I have my phone in airplane mode a lot. So anyway, that's just a personal observation. If anybody can confirm or deny that happens on my phone, I'm all ears. Because I can definitely make calls or receive calls. I don't know about making calls. I can receive calls, and I can still surf the net when I'm in my house and I'm on my Wi-Fi. I can't do things like, share files on Bluetooth and stuff like that. And once I go out of my house, then I basically lose contact because the 4G doesn't work. So, Cornish Fudge, your airplane mode doesn't work anymore as well. It's bizarre. Phone definitely doesn't work on airplane mode, Hannah. Everything shuts off, basically. I don't know. I don't know. It's just a personal observation. Maybe my airplane mode isn't working. Maybe I think it's on airplane mode. It's giving me the airplane signal, the little plane that it gives you, the little icon that it gives you. But maybe it's not on. Maybe airplane mode isn't actually on. Anyhow, let's not worry about my phone. I do worry about my phone in case I ever have to go and bury a body, and I'm just going to turn my phone off completely. There you go. Just tried airplane mode and I can still use internet. There you go. Used to use it often, but still receive calls and WhatsApp messages now. Is it something that they've changed? Okay. Airplane mode makes my phone not work too. Maybe it's just certain phones. Maybe they've changed some settings or something in airplane mode. Interesting. But let's just assume that what happened, and Barry's using airplane mode so that he's not communicable via his phone. All right. So May the 9th, 2020, from 7:22 a.m. to 7:39 a.m, Barry's phone registers locations as Tailwinds Works site near Poncha Springs. During that time, Suzanne's phone exchanged messages with her friend Sheila Oliver. So we definitely know she was alive. Right, unless Barry was in two places at once. Because some people have said, I wonder whether she was murdered on the 8th. So that would be the Friday. Right. So it gives Barry more time. But no, I think she definitely was alive on the morning of the 9th, because she exchanged messages with Sheila, who knew her very well, and there's no indication to Sheila that that wasn't Suzanne. Like, if that had been Barry pretending to be Suzanne, you know, like Brian Laundrie tried to be Gabby. Do you remember that? Where, like, texting Gabby's mother, pretended to be Gabby. Well, Nicole, Gabby's mother, knew that something was off. You know, you kind of know when you get texts from somebody regularly, you know their style, don't you? Right. So nothing indicates that that wasn't Suzanne texting on that morning. And Greg Fisher accepted her Facebook friends request. I mean, that doesn't, I don't care. But definitely the Sheila one, I think, indicates that she was alive. Yeah, Barry thought in airplane mode his cell phone wouldn't be tracked. Yeah, and it probably won't be tracked. However, just to be on the safe side, I'd completely turn my phone off. Because on some phones, GPS still works. Now, I don't know. I haven't tried. I don't think mine will. Because when I go out of my house and my phone's on airplane mode, kind of nothing works. But, yeah. Anyway. May 9th from 9:31 to 9:33, Ricky King and Bobby Huff accepted Suzanne's friend requests on Facebook. Barry's phone continues to receive messages from Suzanne's phone and send messages to her phone while he remained at the CR 105 site until 9:37. So then at 9:50, Suzanne texted Barry, want to hike. 10:36, Suzanne texted Barry, want to meet to hike. And then 10:48, Barry responds, no, I'll come home. Okay. May 9th, 2020, 11:14, Suzanne's phone received a second password reset message from Facebook. That's interesting. Why would that happen? There you go, Geraldine. Michelle is correct. If you get this message, I'm on airplane mode and I'm texting with my Wi-Fi. There you go. Yes, it is. Yes, it is, Dabs. Your phone's picking up your Wi-Fi from your house. Yes, it is. That's what I'm saying. That in this PCA, it says that putting your phone in airplane mode disables your Wi-Fi. It doesn't. Not at least on my phone. If Suzanne was not dead, but unconscious in his truck, dogs wouldn't find the scent of decay because she's alive till he digs a shallow grave. The dogs didn't alert in his truck, I don't think. I'll have to go back and check, honestly. I don't know. I can't remember. You just finished my video from this morning, Jackie. Okay. All right. Where are we going? Right. Shortly after 11:15, Barry's phone travels west on Highway 50, arriving at the Morphew residence around 11:27. Both phones per cast, so that's the team, the phone team, appear to be at the residence from 11:30 through 1:40. Barry's phone exchanges 2 messages with Tim Backhoe at 1:49 and 1:50. Barry also made an outgoing call to Suzanne for 2 seconds at 1:51. Okay. So there's some weird stuff going on, like Suzanne's phone receiving a second password reset request from Facebook. So is somebody trying to get into her Facebook, and Facebook is sending warning messages? For those who haven't seen it, this morning's video is about the DNA. The unknown male DNA that was found on Suzanne's bike and in Suzanne's Land Rover. There's a bit of other stuff as well in it. So this is when I think something goes wrong. Okay, so May 9th at 2:26 p.m. Barry texts Suzanne, Dunn headed back. So he's gone back out. So his phone was there till 1:40. Then he went back out, and then he comes back. And then 2:31, Barry texts Suzanne, did you leave? Now, at this time, Suzanne is communicating with her lover. So did Barry catch her in the act of communicating with her lover? And that was the last straw. That's just a speculation. 2:43, Barry's phone and the F350 per telematics appears to have been at the Morphew residence. So he gets back by 2:43. 2:47, Barry's phone enters airplane mode. So 4 minutes after he gets back, he puts his phone back in airplane mode. So is that something he does a lot? The video won't play in airplane mode. Oh, interesting. Someone changed Suzanne's password on Facebook. Result, password reset message. Okay, so maybe, you know, maybe it wasn't just that Barry flipped. Maybe it was a planned thing. Thank you, Jean, for the $10. That's very kind of you. Thank you, thank you. Unknown DNA on Suzanne's helmet. Yeah. Okay. So what if it's DNA from the person she got the helmet from? Because unless DNA is rubbed off, it stays there. All right, you know, you could wash it off, rub it off. It can degrade, but inside the helmet, and these things are only partial profiles. So it means that there's either been some disruption of that DNA through maybe, you know, touching Suzanne's head, or it's been degraded in some way. So, sorry, unknown male profile doesn't mean anything. Okay. So what I'd like to know is, does Barry frequently put his phone in airplane mode like I do? May the 9th, 10:17 p.m. So we get a big jump. We get a big jump in this timeline. Barry's DNA was not on the helmet. That's the bigger deal. No, it isn't. Why is... If you just murdered somebody and you were staging a scene, you'd wear gloves. Simple as that. You'd wear gloves. And I think Barry's been clever. I think he's been clever. in doing this. And that also indicates to me that this was planned. That if you enjoy true crime podcasts, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? But if you enjoy true crime podcasts and you've picked up a few things, and it's an interest of yours, and then you suddenly start to think that your wife's cheating on you, and your wife wants a divorce, and you know that she's going to take you for half of everything you've got, and money's a big concern to you, and your pride and your ego are going to take a massive bump. So then you decide to plan to murder her, and the plan might develop over a period of weeks or even months. You might get this fleeting, I wish she'd die, and then that goes away. And then you start to think, I really wish she'd die, because that would solve a lot of my problems. How can I make her die? We do need to be objective. Absolutely, we do. We do. And that's why I say that if somebody can convince me, like at the moment, the evidence points to Barry. I hope I'm not hiding a crime by putting my phone in airplane mode. No, I'd turn my phone off. And I've got a burner phone ready anyway for the event that happens. That's a lot of speculation. Barry disabled his truck data. Barry wore gloves. That's not speculation. That's common sense. That's common sense. If you were planning a murder and you'd learnt some things and you wanted to get away with it, you would you would do things that would hide the crime. The obvious way to hide the crime is not get DNA on stuff, i.e. wear gloves. Also, you're going to take your phone, you're going to disable your phone, and also you're going to disable the computer in your truck. It's not rocket science. I know a lot of murderers don't do these very simple things, but then that means that they get caught. And that's good for law enforcement and good for justice, not good for them. But like I said, Barry's been clever, in my opinion. Yeah, she did. She'd beaten cancer twice. Yeah. Better stay on my good side. I've even got a location and everything. The telematics have shown the battery of the truck was disconnected. Now, I'd seen that, or I'd heard that, but I can't remember where I'd heard that, because it's not in this PCA that I can see. That they say he disabled his telematics. An innocent person also wouldn't leave DNA on a helmet and not have data putting him at the burial site. What? An innocent person also wouldn't leave DNA on the helmet. An innocent person wouldn't leave DNA on the helmet and not have the data put in. Look, there would be no data at the burial site if you had your phone that was disconnected and no GPS and no telematics working on your truck. There would be no evidence that you were ever there. It was in the court docs too. Okay, well, this is the problem with having a 131-page probable cause affidavit. You have to it's like a fishing expedition trying to find anything. And then people wonder why there's so many details that people have forgotten, because it's so all over the place. Like, you would think that if law enforcement know that he disabled his telematics, that they'd put it here. But because this is the timeline. This is the timeline of Barry, his phone and his truck. I'm just choosing a small portion of it. like round the time of the murder. But doing this shows that there's a big gap. There's a big gap in law enforcement's knowledge. And we're coming up to that bit now. So, okay. So what Barry said was that he and Suzanne had a really nice evening. They had a steak dinner. They were intimate together, and Barry went to bed at 8 o'clock because he had a long drive ahead of him the following morning, even though the job didn't start until Monday. He drove like nearly 150 miles to Broomfield to a site where he couldn't do anything because they didn't have the relevant permits to work with that equipment that he needed on the Sunday. And his colleagues didn't know that he was going on the Sunday. They thought the work started on the Monday, but yet Barry was there for 8 o'clock in the morning. Very strange. Anyway, so I think that the murder happened about here between 2:43 and 2:47. So that time. So let's say between Barry getting home and maybe shortly after. Like, it happened within minutes. I think he thought, this is the time, I'm going to do it. The daughters were away. One daughter was at college anyway, so she didn't live there. She'd kind of only, I guess, come back to visit. But the other daughter was on a camp. So it was the time. They'd been arguing lots that week. And maybe Barry thought, this is the time. This is the time I can get away with it. Daughter's out of the house. I'm going to work in Broomfield. I can make it look like I was 150 miles away. And I can make it look like Suzanne went for a bike ride and she got abducted. Running after the chipmunks, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so when questioned what he was doing on the afternoon, and that comes up in one of his interviews. It's not on his timeline. This needs a complete rewrite. Honestly, whoever wrote this, right, don't write the next one. You know, if there is a next time, don't write the next one. Get someone else to do it who's more concise. And if we can just have everything in one timeline rather than having to go to this page and that page and the other page. But yes, during one of the interviews, Barry was asked why it appears that he was running around his residence, and he said he was shooting chipmunks. And he said something like he shot 85 chipmunks. 85 chipmunks. Now, I'm sorry, guys, you know, what was this? What was Barry's house that weekend? Did Alvin and his brothers have some kind of rave or what? Was this like chipmunk weekend party rave up? Because he shot 85 chipmunks. Did they have like a massive infestation or what? I mean, where's the evidence that you shot 85 chipmunks? I mean, we don't have chipmunks in this country. We have a lot of squirrels. We have a lot of rats. Personally, I don't have rats because Cassie kills them. Thank you, Patricia, for the 999 and the rolling with laughter avocado. I mean, I'd like to have chipmunks in this country. I suppose squirrels are very much like chipmunks. Cassie would like to catch squirrels, but she's never succeeded as of yet. It will come. It will come. She got a rat a while ago that was flaunting itself around my shed. I'd seen it for a couple of days, and then I thought you better do one very quickly, or else you're going to get deaded. You're going to get deaded, and unfortunately, sadly, that rat got deaded. There was nothing I could do. She'd got to it. I couldn't stop her. He got deaded very quickly. Yeah. So Barry, 85 chipmunks. Where's the bodies of 85 chipmunks? What did you do with them? Anyhow, all right. So then we get a big jump. So we go in this little timeline from 2:47 to 10:17 p.m. So this is why he was asked what he was doing during this time. So May 9th at 10:17 p.m. an airplane mode off event starts. So that means he took his phone off airplane mode. May Barry be haunted by 85 chipmunks? Absolutely. Alvin! Get your pals together. Go and raid Barry's house. Go and give him nightmares. Just wear a bit of Kevlar so he can't shoot you. All right. So he takes his phone off airplane mode, and the phone was then powered on. It doesn't make sense, this. The phone was then powered on at 4:12 a.m. No, 4:32 a.m. So why do we have this jump? Why can't we do it in chronological order? All right. Anyway. Okay. So, all right. That May 9th to 10th night, so May 9th into May 10th, approximately 210 locations for Barry's phone registered near the Morphew residence, compared to 0 to 2 locations on previous nights. Manchester Vicky, no, around the house. Did he shoot 85 chipmunks in the house? I assume he meant like round the house, like round the. Like, what would you have? Like 85 chipmunks in your house? I think it's more like in his yard, on his land. Like he was questioned on it because his cell phone GPS, it was like all over the place. It was like moving all over the place. So there was this thing that was happening in the afternoon, and then you've got all of these things going on in the evening, and he said he was shooting chipmunks. Yeah, powered on is a strange term. I think it means that the screen came on. I don't know what gun he was using. And look, he wasn't shooting chipmunks. So let's not try and work out what gun he was using to shoot these chipmunks. I mean, okay, so yeah, that must be an error. That must be an error, because if you go down here, May 10th, 2020, Barry's phone display came on and his device was unlocked at 3:56 a.m. So maybe he'd had a little bit of sleep. I don't know. 3:25 a.m. to 3:48 a.m. the Ford F350 registers 0 miles per hour with GPS at the Morphew residence as the doors opened and closed multiple times. Now, there was a lot of discussion at the preliminary hearing about these door opening and closing events. So Special Agent Hoyland noted over 80 events involving the F350 during this time frame. So in approximately half hour, 20 odd minutes time frame, he's opening and closing the doors, he's doing stuff, although the truck itself isn't moving. So he's doing things in the truck, around the truck. It's registering things going on, but it's not moving. Location data for Suzanne's phone last registered with a tower near the Morphew residence at 4:23 a.m. So that was the last time that Suzanne's phone registered anywhere, and the phone hasn't been recovered. Further events of Barry's phone records are documented under surveillance video Broomfield section, which is this one. But we only need to read a little bit of this because this goes into Barry's Barry getting to Broomfield. We'll read it for fun because it's hilarious, but there's nothing in this timeline between 4:23, that's the last time Suzanne's phone registers anywhere, and we've got 4:32 phone powered on. If that's correct, that should be down here. So maybe it means Barry checked his phone and then maybe that's when he set off. That should be down here. That's very confusing. But there's nothing then from 4:23 when Suzanne's phone pings near the house. But remember, it's never been recovered. Then we have a big jump. There's nothing until 8:14 in this timeline. Wonder if Barry screamed out, "Alvin!" when chasing the chipmunks. Oh, my son used to love Alvin and the Chipmunks. I got so bored with those movies. I got so bored with them. We'd have to watch them like every weekend. Yeah, Chad's with his raccoons. Yeah, Chad Daybell and his raccoons. You'd like to know who booked and organised and paid for the girls' camping trip? I don't know. I mean, the youngest girl was 16, so presumably either Barry or Suzanne paid for it because she was still in high school. "5:37, Barry's phone pings at Johnson Village." Where does it say that? I'm reading this. Right, all the events that are in this timeline. I'm reading that. So if we might find other events in other places. How's Noodle doing after the op? Oh, he's completely normal now. He's totally normal. He had his operation on the Friday. By the Sunday, he was completely normal. The problem was trying to get him to keep his the cone on his head, and to stop him jumping. And then it ended up where I couldn't keep the cone on because he just kept taking it off, and I couldn't stop him jumping on stuff. So I just thought, you're obviously not in pain. He bust one of his stitches, but he's fine. He's fine. All right, so 8:14 a.m. Barry's phone. Barry's phone was at the Holiday Inn Express in Broomfield, Colorado. 8:41, Barry texts Suzanne, "I made it to Broomfield. Call me when you get a chance." 8:46, Barry walks into the hotel carrying 2 white trash bags, a khaki backpack, a pair of boots, a dark coloured item, and a piece of clothing with a blue teal colouring. 10:06, Barry exits his hotel rooms carrying the charcoal long sleeve shirt and 2 white bags and a pair of boots. 10:20, the location of Barry's phone was near the lot of McDonald's in Broomfield. And he puts a bunch of stuff in the trash there. They spent a long time talking about these trash runs at the preliminary hearing. I so wish that preliminary hearing had been televised, because all we had to go off was tweets from people, from reporters in the courtroom. Lauren Scharf was worth her weight in gold. I was following Lauren Scharf, and then there was someone else who was doing really good tweets as well. Can't remember. It was a man doing really good tweets. So between them, I was able to kind of piece together what was going on a minute by minute basis. But it was hard work. It was a long week, that one. It was a long week. I so wish it had been televised. Anyway, so we get to McDonald's. So Barry starts putting stuff in dumpsters. 10:22 a.m. The driver's door of the F350 opens in the rear parking space of the same McDonald's lot. Barry is seen on video. We're only reading this for fun. Barry's seen on video from the First National Bank, located adjacent to the McDonald's, carrying unknown items in his hands and placing items into 2 separate trash bins located on the edge of the McDonald's lot between 12:19 and 10:19 and 10:41. So it took him 22 minutes. So he's in McDonald's car park, right? At the trash bins for 20 minutes. And he said, in this interview, he said, when he was asked about all of these trash runs and what he was doing at all of these dumpsters and bins and stuff, and he was like, oh, well, I save my trash and I don't like paying for trash pickup and this, that, and the third. So this is a regular thing that he does. He goes to McDonald's and puts stuff in their bins. Now I get it. I do get it, right? I do get it. Like here we get it every 2 weeks, right? They come and collect our bins, right? It's trash that goes in your normal bin. Like 1 week it's regular bins, the next week it's recycling and stuff. So they do it like that. But if you've got anything that won't fit in your bin, like furniture or stuff that you've been, DIY stuff or whatever, you have to take it to the tip. And as long as you go in a car or you have a car with a trailer, it's free. This is how bizarre it is where I live. This is what happens where I live. But if you have a van, you have to pay. You have to make an appointment. It's exactly the same tip. It's exactly the same bins that you put your trash in. They have like these massive skips, and like all these skips have like got different labels on, and you can take like fridges and washing machines, televisions and stuff, and it's all there at the one tip, right? So you can take as many journeys as you like in your car with a trailer. You can do that 20 times in a day if you want, and it's free. But if you have a van, you have to pay. You have to pay, you get an appointment and you have to pay. So even if you are a domestic person taking your old fridge and your vehicle just happens to be a van, you have to get an appointment and you have to pay. It's stupid. It's crazy. I don't know. I don't understand. But if you're, like Barry working in construction, if you're taking your construction waste to a tip, then you have to pay to get it trashed. So Barry presumably is running into these problems. A tip is it's like a place where you can go and take all your rubbish, your garbage. A dump. It's a dump. Yeah, I mean, I call it the tip. Most people call it a tip, but some people do call it the dump. I don't know. I don't know. I just call it a tip. And then there's a scrappy. Now that's different from the tip. The tip is run by the council, local authority. So it should be free. We pay council tax for our like our council tax is for trash pickup. We pay for our trash pickup through council tax. So I don't know why. If you have anyway, I'm not arguing about it, but yeah. And then you've got the scrappy where you can take metal and stuff and old cars, and they will pay you. So like if you've got some scrap metal, don't take it to the tip, take it to the scrappy. We call it the recycling centre. I think it's actually called the recycling centre on the website. I think that's actually what it's called. But I've always called it the tip, and some people call it the dump. They want to be posh. The council want to be posh and call it the recycling centre. That's up to them. But yeah, don't ever take metal to a tip. Take it to a scrappy. They pay you for it. They pay you for the weight. All right, so where was I? All right, yeah, we're having a laugh at Barry. So this is what he said, that instead of paying to have his trash removed, he's a cheapskate and he goes to different trash bins in businesses. So imagine the cops, right, interviewing him, trying to keep a straight face with all of this. I mean, yeah, it could happen. It could be a cheapskate, and he could be getting rid of some of his rubbish in bins and stuff like that, I guess. But come on, Barry, you work in construction, right? I mean, what can you put in the McDonald's dumpsters? All right, so from the bank video, Barry exits the truck, walks to the trash bin while he held an unknown smaller object in his left hand and possibly his right hand. He placed something in the can, extended his right arm downwards into the can, and walked back to the open driver's door. So I think those are meant to be Barry putting things in the bins, but not very well photocopied, is it? Barry was oriented towards the inside of the driver's door and the driver's side door for the next few frames. He walks to the same trash bin, possibly with an item in his right hand, extended his right arm into the trash bin, placed both hands and arms into bin. So he's like leaning in, putting stuff right to the bottom of the bin. Chipmunk bodies. Yeah, that's what he did with the chipmunk bodies. Oh, Alvin was disposed at McDonald's. Oh, bless him. Poor Alvin. Oh. You know, I bet these cops, when they got all this surveillance video, I bet they thought, oh my Lord, you know, as he chopped her up and he's putting body parts in different bins, you know, they'd be thinking all sorts, wouldn't they? They'd be trying to get this surveillance video sharpened up as much as they could. But no, that's not what he was doing. So what he was discarding, I've got no idea. It might clothes. I don't know what he was doing. Murder weapon. Anyway, he made a big meal about it. Barry returned to the truck, oriented to the inner portion of the driver's side door. After a few frames, he turned his hands together and walked to the trash can across the lot. He returned to the truck and drove away. So he went to more than one bin. All right, so we get another one. So 10:47 to 11:18. So this is another half hour. over half an hour. The location of Barry's phone was in or besides the lot of Men's Warehouse. So, closed shop is this. From 10:50 to 11:17, the driver and passenger's doors of the F350 were opened and closed at least 7 times in the parking lot. No one, you can't tell me that this is normal behavior, right? If Barry was completely innocent, what on earth was he doing? What on earth was he doing? Right? You can't tell me that he's just putting his trash in these bins. Why is he going to all these different bins? Right? What's he embarrassed that he's killed 85 chipmunks and he's putting them all in different bins? I don't think so. Chipmunks just wanted to sing on Barry's front yard. Oh, dear me. Dear me. Dear me. All right. So from 10:50 to 11:17, driver, passenger door of the F350 were opened and closed at least 7 times in the parking lot near Men's Warehouse. 11:23, the location of Barry's phone and truck were at the Holiday Inn. Now, there was a spot at the Holiday Inn which wasn't covered by surveillance. So it could have been getting up to more things in bins at one side of the Holiday Inn that didn't have surveillance. So there's probably more that he did that we don't know about. All right, so 11:23 a.m. location of Barry's phone at the Holiday Inn. 11:36, Barry walked into the hotel lobby wearing a black T-shirt, carrying under his left arm a black binder and disorganized papers. So, I don't know, doing some paperwork for his job, maybe. 11:56, Barry exits the room wearing a white T-shirt and carrying the binder with the papers. Right, so what's Barry doing with his clothing? So, okay, when he comes in, he's wearing a black T-shirt. What was he wearing when he went out? Does it tell us? Does it tell us what he was wearing? Holiday Inn, texted Suzanne, walked into hotel carrying 2 white trash bags. But what was he wearing? Exits hotel room, carrying the charcoal long sleeve shirt and 2 white bags, pair of boots. Doesn't tell us what he was wearing when he went out. Or when he got there. But he changed. Well, he's doing a lot of work. He probably felt like sweaty, so changing his clothes probably made sense to him. Doing all these trash runs, it's got to be tiring work. It's going to make him sweat. So he goes in. 20 minutes later, comes out wearing a white T-shirt, carrying the binder with the papers. Walks to his truck at 11:57. 11:57 to 12:25. Barry's phone was near the Via Vara work site. So he actually did go to work for, well, nearly half an hour. So he drove all that way to a work site that he couldn't work at, that he didn't have the co-workers there. He didn't have the workers. They thought the job was starting on the Monday. He didn't have the equipment nor the permits to work on the Sunday. But yet he was there in Broomfield by 8:15 in the morning. Lauren Schaff news station said at least 6 shirt changes. That's extreme. That's extreme. So Barry's at the work site for half an hour. And that's it. So he spent the entire morning doing trash runs, changing his shirts, presumably buying new clothes at Men's Warehouse, opening and closing his truck randomly 7 times in a few minutes, and then spends less than half an hour at the job site that he's meant to be working at, that he couldn't work at, because neither he didn't have the equipment, nor the workers, nor the permits to work that day, but yet he went there that day. You would think if you were starting a job 150 miles away on the Monday morning, you'd maybe travel Sunday evening. I'd travel Sunday evening, have a good night's sleep, and then start work that morning. Could Bazza be OCD? Maybe. Who knows? Who knows? 12:06, Barry made an outgoing call. So we don't know who that was to. 12:28 to 12:29, location of Barry's phone was back at the Holiday Inn. So he's back at the Holiday Inn. So he's at work for less than half an hour. Probably like kicked some tyres or something. It made it look like he was at work. All right. So Telematics F350 also registered the driver door opening and closing multiple times in the hotel parking lot. What are you doing, Barry? Now, there was, like I said, there was a part of that hotel that didn't have surveillance. So there could be more going on that Barry was doing that wasn't covered on surveillance. 12:36, Barry arrived at the hotel parking lot in his truck, got out of the truck and carried one white trash bag, larger in size than the previous bags, in one hand, and the other hand he was carrying a black container along with a green item, possibly a piece of clothing. Okay. 12:38, Barry placed bags, a black container and clothing from his truck besides the curb near the hotel lobby. See below. Oh, that's clearer. So that's Barry putting his trash down there. All right. He then walked to his truck, appeared to pick up a small item from inside, picked up the trash bag, coat and container and walked towards the dumpsters at the end of the lot. No one's telling me that this is normal behaviour. No one is telling me this is normal. This is what you do on a Sunday at a work job that you can't work at, but yet you go there anyway. 12:41, Barry walks back towards the lot, towards the hotel lobby with nothing in his hands, all trashed out. 12:42, Barry enters his hotel room. Barry does not leave his room per the film until 6:03 p.m. Now, in one of the interviews, they asked him what he was doing in his hotel room for all that time. And he couldn't say. He either couldn't say or wouldn't say. I think he was sleeping. I think he'd been up all night or maybe had like a cat nap and he was tired. I mean, he must have been tired. You know, you do a murder, then you bury the body, then you travel 150 miles to your work site. Then you have to go all this way and that way to get rid of all this trash. You're going to be tired. I think he was sleeping, but he didn't want to say he was sleeping because then that raises suspicion. Well, why were you sleeping? Why did you go to work for half an hour to a job site that you couldn't actually work at, that you didn't have any workers or equipment? So why did you go there that early in the morning just to go to sleep? So he couldn't say that, could he? But I think he was sleeping. Okay. So these are all out of order, but these are different. I mean, this doesn't make sense. So he doesn't come out until 12:03. So Barry walking to his hotel room, Barry walking away, wearing a different shirt, varying statements to CBI and FBI about the photos. So FBI agents asked Barry why he did not park near the dumpsters to throw away these items, and he said he did not recall. In March 2021, agents showed Barry photos of him carrying a camouflage coat and black tree container and a bag across the hotel lot and asked him what items were in the bag and why he was throwing those items away. He did not provide details and could not recall the items. So these are just some things that should have been in the timeline above. Maybe. Oh, hold on. No. It's okay. So he wasn't sleeping the entire time. So he didn't come out until 6:03. However, at 3:30, he sent an outgoing message to Suzanne. At 5:15, he received an incoming call from Jean. At 5:45, Barry received another incoming call from Jean and Martin Ritter. At 5:57, the telematics of the F350 registered GPS coordinates at the Holiday Inn. The previous GPS coordinates registered at 12:28. At 6:03, Barry exited his hotel room wearing a black shirt and his khaki backpack on his back. Okay, so I think he went to sleep, woke up, thought, oh, I better text Suzanne to make it look like she's still alive. Then he went back to sleep. Maybe. All right. 6:06, pulls his truck in front of the hotel and walks into the lobby before walking back out of the lobby. At 6:08, 6:09, Barry makes an outgoing call to Morgan Gentile. 6:10, Barry enters the lobby carrying 2 shovels and places them behind the front. So this is Barry. Oh, Barry. So he carries 2 shovels, places them behind the front desk. He made subsequent trips, placing more tools in the same spot. So this is all the tools that he's going to need for the job. Why is he putting them all behind the front desk? Did he not wonder what he was doing with all these shovels? What did he say to them? Can you just look after my shovels? To your mind. Because if you're going to start work there the day after, why do you take all your shovels and your tools out of your truck? Why? Because you're going to need them for work the following day. Dear me, 6:12, Barry left the hotel lot in his truck. Leaves his shovels there behind the front desk. 6:20, Barry made an outgoing call. 7:10, Barry received an incoming call from Chaffey County Sheriff's Office. So this is them telling him that Suzanne's missing. So 7:21, Barry made an outcoming call to Suzanne. 7:33, Chaffey County Sheriff's Office dispatch called Barry and informed him in a 1 minute 32 second call that Suzanne's bike was found. When asked to describe the bike, Barry did not know the make, but said it was blue with colourful petals. Barry started crying and asks, they found a bike. He said he was heading that way and asked, did they find the phone? And then at 10:30, Morgan Gentile arrived at the Holiday Inn and checked into Barry's room. So, all right, so he knows that it makes sense now. He knows that Suzanne's missing. Right? He's been informed that Suzanne's missing. So he takes his shovels and his tools out of his truck and says to Morgan, it's okay, you can have my room and you can have my tools. I've got to go because my wife's missing. So there we go. No, Barry hasn't been rearrested, Linda. No, he hasn't. Not as far as I know, anyway. This is from the first time. This is the probable cause affidavit from the first time. So for anybody who's confused, this is from the first time. We're just reading the timeline. I had a request to go through the timeline. So, yeah, and then... okay, so that's the timeline that's in the PCA. And the PCA, 131 pages. Sorry if this is making you dizzy. And this was, what date's on that? So 5/4/21. that was signed. So yeah, definitely not a new thing. He asked about a phone, yeah. Yeah. Okay, let's now switch to the notes I made at the preliminary hearing. Because much of this is the same, but there's a little bit more, and it's easier to understand as well. So the preliminary hearing doesn't give me a... I don't want to click on that in case it like does something strange. It doesn't give me a date on it. But when did it start? It went on for 4 days. And okay, we'll go to the right to the... I'm only concentrating on the timeline, but this is just how many notes I made. This is how many notes I made. So there was a reason why I did this, rather than just making notes myself. Somewhere in my brain, it occurred to me that this might be important in future, and I'm going to put this in the public domain. So it was a crazy, crazy 4 days taking notes, because cameras weren't allowed in and the reporters were tweeting out. Lauren Scharf was great, and then there was another guy that was great. So between them, I was able to piece together what was going on. So so we're only going to concentrate on the timeline. I'm not going to read all of these messages because there was loads. There's loads. This went on for forever. So Barry Morphew's preliminary hearing is underway. His daughters and mother are both in court. Finally, we'll find out more about the evidence the prosecution has against him. That'll tell me the date, won't it? So this was August the 9th, 2021. That was when the preliminary hearing started. Oh, it's taking it back to the top. Oh, no. Right, sorry, guys. This is going to make you dizzy as anything. Oh, no. Oh, I've got to scroll. I'm really pleased that I don't update my community wall like daily. Like, you know, a lot of people just put loads on the community wall. I'm so pleased that I don't do that, because trying to find something from 2 years ago is really difficult. You can't like search for it. You have to just keep scrolling. Oh, that was when Cassie brought my mic. Look at her face. She doesn't give a shit, does she? She's like, oh yeah, there it is. All right, let's not get distracted, Michelle. Let's not get distracted by dog pictures, Michelle, in the members area. Let's just keep scrolling. Just keep scrolling. There's got to be an easier way to do this. Oh, look at them. They're cool, aren't they? I find them in the woods. Let's keep strong. Oh, I'm still only 1 year ago. No way. Still only 1 year ago. This is all Brian Laundrie stuff. All right, okay. We're 2 years ago now. But now, have I gone too far? No, I don't think I have, actually. Let's keep going. Here we are. Right, got it. Here it all is. All right. So this is August 2021. No search bar at the top. There is a search bar, but you can't search for specific posts. Not that I can see anywhere. Okay, so here's a summary. Barry described Suzanne as his angel, and his worst scare was that someone had picked her up. He told Commander Walker that the RV parked near the house was a suspicious location. He also mentioned a mountain lion. Her phone last pinged at 4:23 on the 10th of May, although Barry said he left at 5 a.m. and she was sleeping. So this is one of the most obvious contradictions. He said he left her sleeping at 5 a.m. Well, what was her phone doing? Pinging, not in the house, down the road. Why was it pinging down the road at 4:23 if Suzanne was sleeping? Riddle me that one, anyone who thinks he's innocent. Oh, we had a lot of hilarity about the spy pen. I remember well. I remember very well, but I want to focus on the timeline, not the spy pen. Okay, all right. Oh boy, the spy pen. FBI Special Agent Harris says the recordings on this device. Right, let's not get distracted. The last known time Suzanne was alive was 2:47 on the 9th of May, although text activity from Suzanne's phone went on through the evening. All right. So doors opened on Barry's truck, 3:26 on the 10th. Told investigators he left for Denver at 5 a.m. Suzanne's phone pinged away from home shortly before 4:30, so it's 4:23. Text with friend Sheila revealed Barry tried to turn their daughters against Suzanne. Special Agent Harris claims that friend Sheila said that in 2018, Barry pushed Suzanne into a closet, put a gun to his own head, and asked her if this is what she wanted. Suzanne was never sure what would set Barry off. Suzanne wanted to wait until daughters were left home to separate. Did they find her phone? No. I'm not aware that they ever found her phone. Thank you, Krista, for the 1999. Thank you, thank you. Okay, so there was a lot of texts that were read between Suzanne and Sheila. She confided in Sheila a lot. I mean, I'm not going to read them all, but just some of these just give her an indication. Just sent me 2 emails regarding this case. All right. Do I need to read them now? Because I've got like 5 billion emails. Can't read it. One more link from a live show. Which is live. You'll find the links there. It said there would be I'm just reading this email. Can I make the text bigger? I can't see it. So I never read emails. Sure you can make the text bigger. It's not the reason I don't read emails. That is a blatant excuse. Hold on. He and his team have put together, temporarily shared this info on his live so we could download it. I thought you would find it extremely interesting as well. Link is below. There is no preview available for this item. The item does not appear to have any files that can be... Please, there are no files in this item. Show all files. So what is all of this stuff? Files for Barry Morphew puke. What is all of this stuff? I think I'm going to have to look at this later because... Okay. Well, that's not opening. Oh, this app is set to open document. If no... Oh, I know what this is. Oh, I know what this is. Yeah, I've seen this before. I don't know where I've seen it before. Who have I seen this from? But thank you. This is pages and pages. There's an Excel spreadsheet here with latitude and longitude and times, and I can't share this. We'll come back to this. We'll come back to this. I just want to go through this preliminary hearing stuff, and then we'll go back to that. Okay, so just to give you a couple of examples of these text messages. I'd live in a shack right now. I'm sure he won't make it easy. He has always wanted control. It's Jekyll and Hyde again. He and Mal were together last night, so Mallory, one of the daughters. Prob switching it on when he talks to her. Ugh, I feel like I'm crazy. I just had a conversation with him. Pretty much told him I can't be healthy and stay like this. So, pretty bad situation. But she went and had an affair. They met about 6 times. It was an old school friend. And it was the spy pen. For those who are not familiar with this case, it was the spy pen that Suzanne bought to record Barry that caught a conversation between her and her lover. So keep scrolling. So May the 6th, text from Suzanne to Barry. I'm done. I couldn't care less about what you've been up to for years. We need to figure this out civilly. And Barry tried to be reasonable. I promise you, you are wrong about all these crazy thoughts about me. Why would I want another? Only a fool would stray from an angel like you. Okay. All right. So this is getting to May 9th. Telematics of his truck and phone were correlated with what Barry said of his whereabouts. Barry says he went to Tailwind's properties. We know all this from the PCA. Left about 1:30, made a few calls, checks a job at Kim Jim's in Salida, then returns home at 2:44. 2:11, Suzanne sent a message to Jeff, that's her lover, on LinkedIn. Barry states when he got home, Suzanne was sunbathing. Barry states when he got home, Suzanne was sunbathing and sending messages to Jeff. A photo of Suzanne sunbathing is shown in court. Daughter's crying. Not clear when this photo was taken. Phone data shows Barry moving around his home and outside. He confirms this is true. He said he was outside shooting chipmunks. Okay, right. So a lot of people have asked about whether the photo that Suzanne sent to Jeff was actually sent at that time, and at the preliminary hearing it was confirmed that yes, it was. So Suzanne couldn't have been murdered on the 8th. She was alive on the 9th. I believe she was murdered on the afternoon of the 9th. That's what I believe. Confirmed the sunbathing pic Suzanne took was sent to Jeff at 2:03. Remember, Barry says she was sunbathing at 2:44 when he got home. Last ever message to Jeff was at 2:11. All of this is confirmed by data, so setting out a reliable timeline. Agent Grusing mentions a tranquilizer dark cat found in the dryer. He also asks Barry about a gun he used. He said 22. Barry's phone was turned into airplane mode. His truck doesn't move from 2:44 until 4:44 p.m. on May the 9th. At 4:44, now this is stuff that's not in the PCA. Yeah, with a dart gun. He has a dart weapon, yeah. But there's questions about whether the dart weapon in the house actually worked. But we don't know whether he actually shot Suzanne with a dart gun. We don't know. That was a theory that the prosecution were working with, that he shot her with a tranquilizer dart so he could murder her. I mean, look, if you've got weapons in your house, why would you bother chasing someone around with a tranquilizer dart? Why wouldn't you just shoot them? I suppose if you tranquilize them first and then you could strangle them, if you were being clever about what you were doing, obviously shooting them with a gun is going to leave gunshot residue everywhere. And it's going to show that you've been shot. I'm convincing myself out of shooting someone now. So you're going to have blood spatter everywhere. You're going to have gunshot residue on you. You're going to have it all over your house. It's going to be obvious to forensics that that person was shot in the house. So it makes sense, actually thinking about it, to tranquilize them first, and then you can quietly strangle them while they're out of it. Because strangling someone, or better still, suffocating someone, doesn't leave many marks. If you suffocate them, doesn't leave any marks at all if they're unconscious, because the only way that they'd know if you were being suffocated is if there's damage to your soft tissues. And if you hide them well, then the soft tissues are going to have gone by the time they're found. Emily, thank you for the $10. Good to see me on a break at work, but wanted to say hello. It's a crime con last weekend and you're catching up. Good stuff. Hopefully you had fun. You still believe Barry himself sent that photo to Jeff? It's possible. It's possible, but if they confirm at the preliminary hearing that that's when it was sent, you'd assume that that they've had a look at the metadata, because if there was any doubt as to whether Suzanne was alive that day, the preliminary hearing would have been the time to explore that. You know, that they'd have an alternate theory that she was either killed on the if she was killed on the 8th, then it would be further evidence that he was trying to cover it up. I'm sure that would have come out, because the time that photo was sent is obvious. You just look at the info on the photo. You've got the sent time, but you've got the taken time as well on that metadata. Wonder if the remains of evidence of tranquilizer or broken hyoid bone, etc. You see, the thing is, the hyoid bone's so small anyway, that someone who's been dead for 3 years and their remains have been scattered by animal predation, hyoid bones probably have gone anywhere. Evidence of tranquilizer, it depends how much of those chemicals would be absorbed into bone. Because if you're tranquilized and then you were murdered straight away, probably not. Higher bone's tiny. That you're not gonna see that. It's not gonna be there. So unless there's evidence on the actual bones, I can't see how they're gonna be able to find a cause of death. Anyway, we've got a little bit more information here. So 4:44, Barry's truck door opens and closes. 9:25, the gear shift goes from park to reverse and moves backwards in the driveway 95 feet at the Morphew home. 5:33 p.m, truck said power was removed and system reboot. So whoever it was who said that earlier on that the computer on the truck was rebooted, it's here. It was said at the preliminary hearing. So it's not in the PCA, it's at the preliminary hearing. Okay, so 5:33 p.m. So this is the night. Truck said power was removed and system reboot. Boy, oh boy, that's what I put. So what he's done is he's taken the computer out, or he's disabled the computer in his truck. There you go. That's what he's done. That's why there's this big gap in the timeline. But it's interesting then. 5:33 p.m. truck said power was removed and system reboot. So is that when he went to take her to bury the body? I'm just thinking aloud here. Because then you get... So power is removed and system reboot. So that's at 5:30. So then at 3:25 a.m. Barry's truck doors open and close. So his telematics is working again. So maybe there he had a go at seeing what he could do and he rebooted his system. So it could be that was when it was disabled and he drove 50 miles, buried the body, came back. Because we're all kind of assuming that he did it on his way to Broomfield. But there was other time. There was plenty of time for him to do that journey there and back. And the grave was so shallow, there'd been animal predation. The bones had been scattered, so it was only very shallow. It's sandy dirt, easy to, he's a fit guy. It's only going to take a few minutes to dig a hole that's very shallow. A system reboot wouldn't reset his odometer. Odometer shows he couldn't have driven down there. Does it though? Because it also shows that there's no information about his truck going to Broomfield either. Like it just magically appears in Broomfield, doesn't it? Or is there so many gaps in what the prosecution have given us that we can't make that decision? It will disconnect when you disconnect the battery. Happened to me with our truck. So if you disconnect your battery, and then what happens when you reconnect your battery? Does it automatically switch back? I don't think he had help. I think he did this on his own. Because if you were being clever, you'd do it on your own. You wouldn't risk the possibility of somebody spilling the beans. So when you reconnect the battery, it reboots. So he's disconnected his battery and put it back, which has then rebooted his system. How do you drive if the power's removed? Well, if you remove the battery, put the battery back in, it reboots the system. But the point I'm making is there was time for him to do it. Also, this information is only in relation to his F350. He also had other vehicles. Check out the odometer log. 249 on the 9th to 8:10 on the 10th is only 180 miles. Okay. So he could have used another vehicle. This is what I'm just getting to. That there's so many gaps. The problem is there's so many gaps in this timeline. The only information that we have about the telematics is from the F350. Now we know that Suzanne was buried 50 miles in the opposite direction to Broomfield. We now have to, and by we, I mean law enforcement, has to think, well, if we're still going to go with Barry's guilty, how did Barry go 50 miles there and 50 miles back in the time available? Now, what I'm saying is that there was plenty of time. There's time in the afternoon. There's also time in the early hours of the morning. And there was multiple vehicles for him to choose from. So the assumption that he used the F350 is an assumption that everybody's going with. And it's possible he used that vehicle. However, isn't it more likely that he used another vehicle? Did he have an old vehicle that didn't have a computer or an old work truck? Exactly. If you have an older vehicle, then it's not going to have all this fancy computer system. Did they have off-road vehicles? I don't know what vehicles they had. This is the issue. This is the issue, that people are saying that law enforcement have been really, like, they've got this big tunnel vision, and they've had this 131-page PCA, this one, 131 pages. The majority of it is just bum fluff. It's all the interviews. There's very little actual substance in the PCA. Be really could have had help, but I don't think so. I think if you're going to plan the perfect murder, you do it yourself. You do it yourself. I think the prosecutors thought that they had plenty, and they just put everything in the PCA. But when it came down to it, the actual substance is really thin. And that's not because Barry didn't do it. It's because they had this tunnel vision that he did it in this way. If you remember, when the case was dismissed without prejudice, which means he can be rearrested, the DA at the time said that they knew where Suzanne's body was, but they were waiting for the snow to melt. Well, the snow melted and nobody found Suzanne's body. And Suzanne's body was in a location found accidentally when searching for someone else called Edna Quintana. And I did a live stream about her yesterday. Please go and watch it, because we need to find Edna as well. You know, those in Colorado, please, you know, go find Edna. She deserves it. 2 people have been found during the search for Edna, and Edna's still out there. So Suzanne was found in a location that law enforcement, the DA, the prosecutors did not expect. And, you know, the cops have come out, or the prosecutors have come out and said that this has now got more questions than answers because they thought that Barry had done it in a certain way. They focused all their theories on one thing, on one theory, that Barry did it this way. And when it came down to it, when they looked at the actual evidence, the defense could run rings around them because the evidence was actually really thin for that theory. Well, is that because he didn't do it that way? He did it a different way. So what we need to know are things now that are far in advance of this timeline about what Barry's phone was doing, about what Barry's F350 was doing. Because he, you know, he had common sense that he disabled his phone, and maybe what he did was he took the battery out of his F350 to put it in another vehicle that maybe wasn't working, puts a battery in it, drives 100 miles there and back, round trip, buries Suzanne in this old vehicle, puts his battery back in his F350. Everything on his F350 looks like it's not moved because it hasn't. And he's actually used an old vehicle with no computer system that law enforcement will look at and go, oh, that's broken. He can't have used that one. That's broken. How about that for a theory? Did they ever think about something like that? Someone who wants to plan the perfect murder is going to take a vehicle that doesn't have a computer and that the law enforcement think is broken. So that's where I'm headed. That's where I'm thinking, but there's too many unknowns. You've got these gaps in the timeline that make it absolutely, it's easy for him to have done it. He could have either done it in the afternoon stroke early evening, or he could have done it on his way to Broomfield. He could have gone back, come back, changed his vehicle. But I think he probably went, maybe, I think I'm edging towards he went in the afternoon. And then he got rid of the body, and then he cleaned up the entire scene, and that's where he's collected all this trash, and that's why he's got all these opening and closing door events going on, because he's running around like a blue horse fly picking up all this evidence. The timeline Strawberry Wine sent you will help fill in the missing pieces. All right, let's look at that now then. Okay. I have seen this spreadsheet before. I don't know where I've seen it, but I have seen it before. Hold on a minute. I'm going to have to share. Can I share a window? Where's my Excel spreadsheet? There it is. Oh, I'm going to have to share my whole screen. That's okay. What's up, Cassie? Do you need a wee? Hate Excel so much. So who put this together? Because I have seen it before. I have never been in possession of it, but I have seen it before. So who put it together? I need to know. And where does it start? So 9/1/2019. So AK Roxanne team. I couldn't read the email. The text was too small, and I couldn't work out. Hold on. I'm going to have to take Cassie out for a wee. All right, I'm going to have to go and open the door. Please hold 1 second. Hold on a minute. Oh, and the cat's meowing as well. Might have to go downstairs She might not be pouring for wee. I think she is pouring for wee, but it's also tea time. Oh, it's way past tea time. They're hungry. They're driving me insane. All right, please hold. I'm going to have to... I'll be back. I'll be back in a minute. Ah, I don't have the please hold thing on this one. I'm coming in a minute. Coming in a minute. Let me put some background music on. Will it? Whether you can hear it or not, I'll be back. Right, I'm back. How do I turn this music off? Even if it was on. Was it on? I had no idea. Is it off now? Hold on. I guess I can listen. All right. Is it off now? Yeah, it is off. That was really annoying music and all. Sorry, guys. All right. My please hold little clip isn't on this profile. You think it's nice music? I don't like it when streams have background music. It winds me up. Okay, we want to get to... This is a lot of work. Someone has put a lot of work into this. This is a crazy amount of work. Where's the all... I know, right, so... Who was it? AK Rocks, who I have no idea who that is, but this is a colossal amount of work. And where have they got all this information from? Seventh, 8th, 9th. This is crazy. So he went to get his bobcat fixed, didn't he? I remember. Okay. So this is the stuff that I read in the PCA. So messages, backhaul. Parking lights on. Okay. So 14:11. So that's 11 minutes past 2. No further provable existence of Suzanne. So that was that last photo to Jeff. Wait. Okay, so I've got some outgoing calls. Okay. 14:27. He's home. So I think Suzanne is killed during this time. That's just based on the stuff in the PCA. So airplane mode on, 14:47. But the problem is, with all this, is this is just his F350, isn't it? The investigation team has given all this to the CBI. Yeah, there is a suggestion that Barry's in Mexico, even if he is. There's an extradition treaty, isn't there, between the US and Mexico? Am I right? I suppose he can springboard from Mexico to somewhere else that doesn't have an extradition treaty. Okay, so where's that event where he his system reboots? Where's that at? 15:18. What time was that at? Oh, that's all the hotel stuff. Okay. 5:33 p.m. Truck said power was removed and system reboot. Right. 5:33. Look, watch. So from 16:44, door opens. So the doors open. The driver doors open from 16:44 to 18:56 when the door closes. So why would you have your driver door open all that time? So that's 4:45 until almost 7 o'clock. Don't have an extradition treaty with Mexico? Really? But Mexican authorities are pretty good about working with the US to get people extradited. Okay. All right. We'll have to go and get him then, won't we? Fancy a trip to Mexico, anybody? We'll just go and get him. So, for an hour and... So for nearly 4:45, 5:45, 6:45, 7:45. So for 2 hours and 10 minutes, roughly, his F350 has his driver door open. So he just forgot to shut his door. So for 2 hours and 10 minutes or thereabouts, he's forgot to shut his door. The truck door was open so long because he had to chase all the chipmunks out. Yeah, the chipmunks all ran in there to hide and he had to shoot them all one by one to get them out. So could that be the time when he was doing, he took the body in a different vehicle? Now, it doesn't give the system reboot thing on this. So we don't have the system reboot thing on this. 1801. So door closed, parking lights off. Started saving, finishes saving. So there's nothing for 2 hours, 2 hours and 10 minutes. There's nothing happens. The truck is just sat there. Could be when he disconnected the battery. Yeah. So during that time, he's disconnected the battery, and when he comes back, he shuts the door. So if he disconnected the battery at 5:33, do you know what? I think that's my favourite time at the moment. That's my favourite time at the moment. All right, so let's say he disconnects the battery, puts the battery in another vehicle that law enforcement will think is broken. He drives, gets rid of the body, comes back, puts the battery back in, and the vehicle carries on, starts, recording events again. What's not true? Rental place nearby. I don't know. What's not true? Oh, extradition treaty. Okay. You haven't heard anything about another vehicle. Nobody has. This is the problem. We know that they had other vehicles. This is the problem. This is what I've been saying. That the PCA and at the preliminary hearing, the entire focus has been on the F-350. But the way that law enforcement have been really tunnel visioned in this case is that they've had a theory of how they thought Barry did it, focused heavily on the tranquilizer dart, focused that he took her somewhere that they knew where she was, but covered in like a mountain of snow. Right. No, the pen wasn't in the truck. The pen, I think they found in a closet. Right. And the only mention of other vehicles was they took DNA swabs from Suzanne's Land Rover. But they had other vehicles. What we need to know isn't what law enforcement theory was then. We need to start from scratch. Yes, this stuff's important. These times that have already been logged are important, but we need to start thinking like Barry. We need to think like Barry. And Barry has been clever. So what would I do if I was Barry? I wouldn't use my F-350. I would know that the truck that I use all the time, that everybody sees me in, they're going to assume that I've taken the body in that truck. I'm not going to use that truck. I'm going to use an old vehicle that everybody thinks is broken. It works in construction. He'll have had access to a bunch of other vehicles. That's what I think he did. I could be completely wrong, but that's what I think. That's where I think the investigation should go next. You see, there's a big gap there, but that may be where Barry went to sleep for a bit. So you've got like 3.5 hours where Barry doesn't do anything. And you've got this big time when the parking lights are on. And he's doing this, that, and the third with his vehicle. Door closed, doors opens. 80 events logged. But I think that's when he was putting all this trash in it. Because it must have took him a while to collect all that trash that he put in the McDonald's dumpsters and wherever else. They need a smoking gun. They do. I agree with you there. They do. They do need a smoking gun. I think I like all the evidence. I mean, this is not normal behavior by anybody's imagination. This is not normal behavior, but it's circumstantial. But now they've got Suzanne's body. I mean, look at Alex Murdoch. Look at him. That was a largely circumstantial case. What was the thing that nailed it for people? The kennel video was the thing that nailed it for people. This one, there isn't a smoking gun. Barry could be just a complete Fruit Loop, total OCD, who was a very controlling man, and the defense could still make the argument that he was innocent, and the jury believed them because they could make it sound like Barry, yes, he's neurotic, yes, he's controlling, he's got mental health problems, he's OCD about his truck, he has to open and close his door 50 times because he's OCD. They can make all of that argumentation and a jury believe them. So I do agree that there needs to be something else. And I think they need to now start thinking like Barry. But this is really interesting. So, what's this? MG heard BM truck. So is that a neighbour, MG? Morgan Gentile, is it? So, BM phone in airplane mode. 442. So that's Suzanne's phone, last pinged. Okay. Phone's in airplane mode. That's when he states he sees Suzanne. So Barry's truck's on a video. Presumably that's close to his neighbourhood. And then at 7:34, he arrives at his hotel in Broomfield. So where's that video? Barry's truck was seen passing video surveillance on Highway 50 near the junction with Highway 285, and then again just north on Highway 285. Oh, Morgan, right, yeah. I hate Excel. It reminds me of where I used to work. We used to have these flaming Excel spreadsheets. I hate it. Hate Excel so much. Right, where are we? Lost it now. There. I need longitude and latitude. What's the last longitude and latitude? So is that his house? Is there a way to plot all these into Google Maps? Or do you have to do it manually? I bet you have to do it manually, don't you? But you only need a few of them. I'll do it. I need a few of them. So that is now in Broomfield. Okay, so when does he leave? I think he leaves there. So he's got 3 hours, just over. Okay, so from, let's say he leaves at 4:20 or thereabouts, and he gets into Broomfield at 7:34. So what's that? 2 hours, 15 minutes. No, 3 hours, 15 minutes. So 5, 6, 7. 3 hours and 15 minutes. Okay. All right. This is one I prepared earlier. So 3 hours and 15 minutes. Well, if he goes all the way down here to bury the body, 53 minutes, and then 53 minutes back. So that's nearly 2 hours. I mean, it's going to be more than 2 hours by the time you've actually dug the hole. It's going to be 10, 15 minutes to dig a hole, a shallow hole. It's not going to take very long because it's sand. Right? It's not going to take very long at all. I had this argument with people when Chris Watts buried Shanann. And the hole I'm imagining that Shanann was in is deeper than the hole that Barry dug. Allegedly, Barry dug. The killer dug. And people were saying, Chris didn't have the time to dig the hole and he must have had help. How long does it take to dig a hole in sand? Come on, you guys, were you ever a child? Did you ever dig holes in sand when you were a child? I dug tons of holes. And it doesn't take long to dig a hole in sand. Telematics has its own internal battery. See, I don't know anything about this kind of thing. So call that 2 hours, and then he's got to go 150 miles north. What's up, Cass? What's up? The door's open. I know what she wants. She wants to go at the front because it's raining. She doesn't like going out of the back when it's raining. I don't know what's in her head. So he's not got the time to do it then, has he? I don't think he's got the time to do it then. Hold on. Broomfield. I did this the other day. So 4 hours and 18 minutes. So if he's getting to Broomfield, like, if he sets off from here at 4:20, 4 hours 18 minutes plus the time it will take to bury, he's not going to be there before 8:30. Pre-dug holes possible, definitely possible. To go out there at some point and pre-dig a hole, possible. I'd probably do that if I was planning a murder. So you can just go chuck them in. Because if you're there with a dead body and someone happens to pass by and looks at you like, what you doing? Pre-dug hole does make sense. But still, even if the hole's pre-dug, you've still got 4 hours and 18 minutes. So you're still not going to be in Broomfield until gone 8. Easily. He couldn't have used his truck and he couldn't have done it that morning. No. Looking at the timings. So I think My preferred theory now is he didn't use his truck and he did it in the afternoon or early evening. Pre-evening. He did it in the pre-evening. And I think he went during that 2 hours when his truck door was open. He left his truck door open. And that's just the amount of time. There. 16:44. And then he closes his door at 7 o'clock, nearly. So he's gone out to bury the body, left his truck at home and left the door open. That makes sense. That makes sense of a situation. 2 hours, 2 hours, 10 minutes. That's about right, you know. That's about right, you know. Okay. Well, I'm going to leave it there for now because this, I'm going to dig into a bunch more. And there were some other files as well that came with that email. One of them I can't open. I don't know why, but I will. There's all these. Oh, blimey. There's all these. This must have taken. How long did this take? How long did this take? That's nuts. That is some work. That is some work. So I'm going to take a really detailed look at this. But at this moment, I think that's when he went to bury the body, between 16:44 and 7 o'clock. So it means that there has to be another vehicle in play, because that truck did not move. There has to be another vehicle in play. Last logged entry could be door open if battery removed, then newest entry when battery disconnected, then registered door closing. That's true. I'm going to have to look more into telematics. With every case I do really deep, where I do a real deep dive, I always learn something new. And in this case, it's going to be telematics from cars. Could he have used the daughter's car? Yes. There was multiple cars at that residence. We need to know. Pickletoe's grandma, great name. Where were the girls? The eldest girl was at college, so she didn't live there. Like, she only visited. The youngest girl was only 16, but she was at a camp. So she was high school. She was at a camp that weekend. Please be sure to look at both emails. I will. And I'll work out a way to make the text bigger so that I can actually read it. My eyes are terrible. I would say in the last 3 months, my eyes have got significantly worse. They were never great to begin with. My glasses don't help anymore. They really don't. They make it worse. I'm going to have to go and get an eye test. And I'll still be saying that in the next 3 months, I'm really going to have to go and get an eye test. I'm really going to have an eye test. And then in the next 3 months, I'll be saying the same, because that's what I'm like. Yeah, they were camping, yeah. But Suzanne had a car. The daughters, I bet the daughters had a car each. And how do we know that one of the daughters' cars, like both daughters' cars, were there? There would have been work vehicles that he would have had access to. I do need to go to Specsavers. That means going into town, though. That's the thing. All right, guys, I'm just waffling now. So hopefully you found this interesting. These are my favorite kind of lives to do, where I have a plan and then I get some new information and it all just starts to come together. My theory starts to form. Get them to come to me for an eye test. Can they do that? If he really did go to all these lengths, it's kind of criminal mastermind. I think he's been really clever. I do. I really do. I think he's planned it for some time. I really do. And he chose that weekend. It was the final straw. He chose that weekend to put his plan in action. All right, guys. Thank you all for joining me today. I have no idea how many I've had in chat, but those are the best lives. When you're so interested in what you're doing, you've got no idea what's going on anywhere else. Cassie's trying to climb on my back. Thank you for the donations, everyone. Thanks, as always, to the mods. And I will see you very soon in the next video or the next live, whenever. Bye, guys.